the deadline.
We are getting ready to embark on a mission to Bangor, Maine, which is arguably one of the most haunted towns in America, which is an hour and a half away from where I grew up, and I've never been there.
I want my hat.
So we are going to count down the top 10 most haunted places in Bangor, Maine, and take you along.
Daddy, are you going to go see some ghosties? You want to see some ghosties?
She's ready to see some ghosts. This dog grew up on the streets of India, so she is very used to ghosts. That's annoying that it turns off the music.
Oh, she's ready to see some ghosts.
Okay, so we just arrived in Bangor, Maine, which is surprisingly one of America's most haunted towns, even though there's literally no one here, as you can see. I don't even know how to turn this around. Oh, that's not gonna work. I need to be able to like turn it around in the middle. So our first destination is not a haunted location, but it is a very important location in Bangor, which is the home of Stephen King, who is one of America's, if not the most famous horror novelist in America and probably like the whole world. Lived here for many decades with his family, and we are going to go see his house, which is blood red, and all of these houses in this area are huge and beautiful. You can see there's like no one here, which is great. Super cool. A perfect quarantine activity. A COVID Halloween in Bangor. I mean, it's really nice, but it's not as big as I expected, like a multi-millionaire author's house to be. And there's like, the only thing that's happening is one or two cars will stop every few minutes and take photos, but other than that, there's literally nothing happening here. But these houses are very, very, very nice around here. Just a quaint little New England town. Okay, something that you need to know is that Stephen King actually does not live here. He owned this property for decades with his family, but 2 years ago he decided that he spends more time at his summer home, which is located still in Maine but on the border of New Hampshire in the mountains. So he will be turning this home into a writer's retreat, which I think is really cool, hopefully to inspire budding horror novelists. So it will be available to writers and archivists for $5 at a time. Oh my god, so we're here. So this is it. Stephen King's house. We have to go in front of that nice one and take a photo. It's so beautiful. There's a really creepy sculpture outside, but other than that, it's just like a normal property with a really cool fence. So here it is, Stephen King's house. This is a very important building on our list, but unfortunately there is no evidence that this place is haunted whatsoever. So here we go onward to actual haunted places in Bangor. Look at this very, very scary tree. This is a beautiful neighborhood that I could never afford. Wow. They do a really good job breaking up the leaves though. Okay. How do I flip this? This is not going to be good. So the next location on our list of haunted / important horror places in Bangor, Maine is the corner of Jackson and Union Street. And so we just left Stephen King's house and we walked probably 5 minutes away. In the corner of Jackson and Union Street, there is a sewage drain. And this specific sewage drain is what sparked Stephen King's inspiration to write that scene in It. So nothing in It was filmed here specifically. It was all filmed in Canada. But this specific sewage drain in the street is what inspired that movie. So we are going to try to find it And as you can tell, it's literally just us here. And I'm really surprised because this is like very important. Like, people should know about this stuff. I think it's this one. Somewhere's around here is the sewage drain that inspired the movie, but we can't find it. So we're gonna have to cross again. We found it. Oh my god, there it is. So this is the sewage drain, even though it looks nothing like it did in the movies. This is what Stephen King walked across one day while... Yes, I know, they dramatized it for the movie, but this is the sewage drain that Stephen King looked at one day and said, you know what, I'm going to write this really fucked up story. There it is. So if you can't tell from that last thing, the sewage drain looks nothing like they made it look like in the movies. It has a what do you call it, like a grid, something. Oh, this woman's asking us for directions. Really, 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 really beautiful New England houses like Lady and the Tramp. So I'm gonna get this talking part over with and give you a little bit of history as I'm turning left onto James Street, so that once we get to the building, I can just like take it in. Turn left. Okay, so next we are going to, and this is all walking distance from each other, which is super cool. Next we are going to the Bangor Children's Hospital, or formerly known as the Bangor Children's Hospital. From 1869 to 1975, this building was used as a home for abandoned and orphaned children in Bangor. It was run by a group of women who the building was donated to in the late 1800s. So a lot of kids passed away in this building due to illnesses such as the whooping cough and tuberculosis. In 1975, due to the new state regulations, the program was shut down, and from it came the Hilltop School, or what is it called? Yeah, it's called the Hilltop School, which is a daycare and a elementary school. There are children that passed away here, and it has been said by numerous staff that after hours, when all of the living children have gone home, that you can hear kids running through the halls and giggling after hours. So the roster of the modern day school at the Hilltop School includes both dead and undead children. So that's great. Straight. Wow, that's so pretty down there. Wow. So again, this is our first location that is allegedly haunted. So we are very excited. The goal of today is not to see ghosts. Since it's Halloween, we might experience something. Also, I don't know if you can see this, but through the woods right here at the very top of the hill, there's like a white cylinder building. That's not on our list, but that is where some people died, and that's also haunted. And she's standing. So there it is. So, show us.
Stop.
So there it is, the Bangor Children's House, and now it is a school. Yeah, so we gotta go closer. So here it is. This is now the Hilltop School, formerly known as the Bangor Children's House. Ooh, I'm so scared, actually. Holy God. Wow, so this is our first haunted location. Wow, okay, wait, look at this sign right here. Children's home. Going on in these windows here. Anybody watching this that sees anything in the windows, just, let us know, because I'm actually walking without looking. Wow, this is actually a really beautiful building though. So, long story short, there are children that run around and do reckless behavior after hours in this building. And this creepy building is just the only building around here that is on a literal hill. It just makes it even more scary. So that was a little bit scary. Now we are walking away and we are following this road all the way downtown, where we will hit the rest of our stops. The last 3 locations were kind of on the edge of town, which was another reason why Stephen King chose Bangor to move to instead of Portland, because as you could see, his house was huge and gorgeous and had tons of space and was walking distance to downtown Bangor. So, I mean, I understand why he chose to move here. And it just so happens that Bangor is filled with tons of haunted horror history. These leaves. Foliage. It's very nice. The only annoying part is that people are going to start trick-or-treating and crowding the streets. There's literally no one here. Yeah, so here is the Bangor Historical Society that is haunted by the past mayor, Mayor Samuel Dale, and his wife. Okay, so when I was filming this, I entirely missed the whole plot as to why this building is haunted, so I'm just going to add that in here for you. Mayor Samuel Dale was in charge of giving $10,000 to Chicago after the 1871 Great Fires of Chicago, and the money never made it. 2 weeks later, they found him. He had committed suicide on the 3rd floor of this building. His wife continued to live there after he died. She continued to live in the house that he committed suicide in. Also, this building has turned into a historical place where they keep artifacts about the town, and today the Bangor Historical Society holds over 1,000 pieces of artifacts from the Civil War era. So it's no wonder that there's activity in this building, and actually when you apply an interview to work here, it's part of the interview process that you are told up front that this building is haunted and you will probably experience activity while working there. So the question is, what did he do with the money? I guess we'll never know. They haunt this building. They cause a ruckus and smoke cigarettes and spray floral perfume with their ghost cat. And this building is haunted. So right across the street from the Bangor Historical Society is this big building that is known as the Isaac Farrar Mansion. So we are standing in front of the formerly known Isaac Farrar Mansion. So this building was built in 1833 and was the first commission of the architect Richard Upjohn. God, I'm terrified. Richard Upjohn also built the Bangor Historical Society building. It was one of his designs as well. So what happened? Can you absolutely not? It used to be Isaac Farrar's house, and then when he was done living in it, the Merrill family moved in. And what happened to the Merrill family is that one of their young sons choked on a marble in this building, choked and died, passed away via marble. The nanny was watching the kid and was stricken by guilt, and she hung herself in this building on the 3rd floor. So this building is haunted by the little boy and his nanny, who is super sad that this kid died under her watch. And now it is owned by the YMCA of Bangor. This building between the years of 1929 and 1972 was owned by the Bangor Symphony Orchestra, and they conducted musics in this building, and now the YMCA owns it. Hence the sign over here, YMCA. And the next location is also the original part of the YMCA, which is the next building over. So now we're gonna go over there. So literally next door from the Isaac Farrar mansion is the original YMCA building, and this building was 100% built on top of a burial ground. So there are dead bodies right where we're standing underneath. At the time that this building was being built, cars, no one noticed that they were digging up a burial ground until a coffin protruded from the ground. And understandably, the citizens were concerned. So the town said that they were removing the bodies and moving them to Mount Hope Cemetery. So this building is haunted by a lot of miscellaneous people. Ooh, let's go look at the sign. Wow. Fun. Anyways, this is where they decided to build a building on top of a lot of dead people. I love that. So we are leaving the area where those 3 buildings were. The YMCA owns a lot of it now. We are headed to what is probably the creepiest building on our list. We've seen a lot of buildings that are allegedly haunted by ghosts that passed away in non-violent crimes, but we are going to the Bangor House next. So the Bangor House is now currently a home for elderly and disabled citizens, but it was formerly a hotel, like a very exquisite hotel for 100 years, over 100 years, in the late 1800s and early 1900s. I'm just gonna name off some people that have stayed at this hotel: Amelia Earhart, Betty Davis, Henry Fonda, Duke Ellington, President Teddy Roosevelt, Ulysses S. Grant, Howard Taft, and Benjamin Harrison all stayed at this hotel at some point while it was used as a hotel. So here's the building. This is the Bangor House. This hotel was built to mimic the Boston Hotel, the Tremont Hotel. And at the time that this event occurred, there was a situation happening in Boston known as the Boston Strangler. So the Boston Strangler would just do that. He would strangle a lot of women, and he was terrorizing the Boston area. So what happened in this building is a woman named Effie McDonald, she was a chambermaid in this building when it was a hotel. She was found slain in a 3rd-story room that was unused, so you can just go ahead and pick one. She was found slain there and strangled with her own nylon stockings. So people thought naturally that it was the Boston Strangler who came up and spent a weekend in Maine to do some strangling here. But it was found that the evidence did not match up, and this murder still remains unsolved. So this is the Bangor House. It is now an elderly and disabled people's facility, and it used to be a really exquisite hotel. Okay, so just to wrap that up as we're walking away from the hotel, so Effie McDonald haunts this building, and she is probably looking for her murderer. So if you know anything about that, please contact the Bangor town office. Greetings from Bangor. Oh. So we're heading into like a fun downtown area for our next place. So in the late 1800s, Bangor was known as the Broadway of the North because it really did have a bustling opera community, and I think that's very nice of Maine to have provided that for people. Great. So our next location is the Penobscot Theater Company. So Bangor used to have a lot of functioning opera houses back in the day, in the late 1800s. And the building that is known now as the Penobscot Theater Company is the only one of those buildings that is still standing today. Ooh, there's so many really good, cute little stores down here. So in 1889, the Bangor Opera House was built. That is what it was formerly known as. And in 1914, there was a terrible fire that took out a lot of these buildings. And so from that, it was rebuilt. And during the fire of 1914, 2 firefighters were killed when a wall collapsed. Ew, Trump supporters. Did I see it? No. There was a terrible, terrible fire that happened in 1914. And this fire killed 2 firefighters trying to take out the blaze. And so when Penobscot Theater Company rose out of the ashes of that, people started saying that you could see these 2 firefighters sitting in the seats during shows, as well as a little girl will come and weave through the seats during shows. And an old woman can be heard walking through the halls, and you can hear the woman and the little girl. It's one of these. Relax your feet. We're on a walking tour. So now this building has been turned into a movie theater, which honestly makes me more terrified because I feel like I would be more willing to see a ghost during a live performance than I would be watching a movie. So now people say that there's a little girl that comes and weaves through the seats while you're watching a movie, and that just doesn't sit well with me. This building's not haunted to my knowledge, but it is really pretty. So we're in front of the Penobscot Theater Company. Can't even really see it. So guess we should cross the street so we can see it. Wait, I want to see if there are firefighters in here. No firefighters. Wow, so scary. Oh my god. No firefighters. You see any firefighters? Yeah, so that's definitely haunted. Yeah, so this building was burned down in 1914, parts of it, and then 2 firefighters died, and it is haunted by them and a little girl and an old lady. So that's really scary. So moving on from theater, we are going downtown on Main Street, and we are going to go visit the Charles Inn. So the Charles Inn used to be part of a section of buildings called the Phoenix Block. Woo! And just like the building that we just visited, this section of... Whoa, that's cool. Fine. Like the old Bangor Opera House, this section of buildings, known as the Phoenix Block, broke out in fires in 1869. Now, this is the only downtown hotel still open. That is what I wanted to say. The Charles Inn. Known ghosts to be seen in the Charles Inn are Union soldiers, a woman in white who is said to keep the rooms really chilly, as well as visits from Al Brady and Vice President Hamlin, who I will talk about later. So there it is right there, the Charles Inn Hotel. And up at the top you can see the Phoenix Block. So this building, this section of buildings actually burnt down in 1869, and then the Charles Inn was built out of that. So the Yelp reviews online say that this hotel is really nice to stay in. They've decorated it really nicely, and the staff is really nice, but they complain that it never gets warm, and that is due to the woman in white who keeps the building cold. In 2015, Leanne and Anne Huey bought the Charles Inn, not realizing how haunted this building was. And in 2015, they called on paranormal investigators to investigate the situation, and they deemed it to be haunted. So it's pretty haunted. So there's the Charles Inn right there, and then we're gonna turn over here and take a right onto Central Street, and I'll tell you what happened on Central Street. And what went down here What do you mean?
I said you stay on that side.
Oh, well, I wasn't paying attention. What happened in 1837 on Central Street is that a guy named Al Brady, who was at the time, it's kind of equivalent to America's Most Wanted. He was America's #1 public enemy at the time, and he decided to come up to Maine to hide out because I guess he thought that was a good idea. And so he was mistaken, and the FBI came and shot him down in the middle of the street here. So there's a plaque on Central Street here that we're trying to find that says, you know, this is exactly where Al Brady was shot and killed by FBI agents. Oh my God, look at this little guy. He's trying to find Al Brady too. And also, if you weren't paying attention before about the Charles Inn, Al Brady haunts the Charles Inn, and it is super close in proximity to the Charles Inn, this street where Al Brady was shot and killed by FBI agents in 1837. And he is also buried at the Mount Hope Cemetery, which is our last destination. Oh, I see it. I think it's over there, where exactly this shooting took place. So if you can see behind me continuing, that's where the Charles Inn is, and then coming straight through is where, actually that's not it either. What the literally, where is this plaque? We're gonna spend all night looking for this plaque. Wait, what is that over there? Do you see that? You just stay right here. Okay, so I found it. Near this spot, Al Brady, public enemy #1, was shot and killed by FBI agents on October 12th, 1930. So I found it. So approximately right here is where FBI agents shot down the United States #1 public enemy in 1837. And if you look up online, like, what happened to Al Brady, like, you'll see a picture of, like, people loading the sides of the streets, and then Al Brady is just, like, laying in the middle of the street. So yeah, they took this guy out. They really did. So our last haunted location before we go to Mount Hope Cemetery is called the Tarantine. The Tarantine was an exclusive club for all of your cigarette smoking and car playing of the late 1800s and early 1900s. The first president of this club was actually Abraham Lincoln's vice president, Hannibal Hamlin, and he actually passed away in the Tarantine. He was playing cards. Hamlin passed away in the club that he was the president of. After playing a deck of cards, he sat leisurely down on a couch and supposedly passed away of natural causes. It was known that he had an underlying illness, but it's also rumored that this was a murder, so maybe he was poisoned. Yes, thank you, hello. Yeah, so his ghost haunts the Tarantine. Also, the original Tarantine was burned down with the 1911 fires, along with a lot of other buildings on our list. So when they moved the Tarantine to its location now, the ghost of Hannibal Hamlin followed with it. And the couch that he died on is actually at the Bangor Public Library. So maybe he's sticking around to try to find his couch. So here it is, the Tarantine. This building is haunted by former Vice President Hannibal Hamlin, who died on his couch after playing a deck of cards. So all in all, I would say that this was a very wholesome trip. Everything was super close together, and our last stop is going to be the Mount Hope Cemetery, where a lot of these people that I've been talking about were buried. So now we're going to go to a cemetery right at sundown, and that's really asking for it. Oh, the balloon! Oh my God. Wow. Happy Halloween. We're on our way to the cemetery now, and I don't know if you can see this, but this moon is very full tonight. Very, very full tonight. Straight, just that's the way. Yeah, straight. Crematorium. Yeah. This place is a crematorium and like tons of mausoleums and dead people. and we're going right at sundown, and the moon is full, so we're definitely gonna get possessed. Okay. So we are at our last stop of the night, the Mount Hope Cemetery and Crematorium. Many acres of just dead people. A lot of the people that I talked about today are actually buried here, and this is logistically, I guess, statistically, I guess, we are more likely to see a ghost here than we were going to anywhere else in Bangor. So wish me luck. Peace out.
All set.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Oh, no, I just saw something move. It's time to go.
No, I'm really all set. I've seen everything that I need to see.
I do not like this feeling at all.
No, she's whining because she knows more than we do where the ghosts are. There's a full moon out here right now, and there's definitely ghosts, like, with us right now. Ooh, Jesus. Yeah, it's time to make way. Time to go.